Hello and welcome to the International Pentagon Challenge. My name is Kyanite and together we'll be embarking on a very special Football Manager journey where we'll aim to try and win every major international competition in all 5 continents, forcing our hand to play with hundreds of different types of players and most importantly hopefully create loads of awesome different types of tactics along the way. Once that's complete, only then are we allowed to set our sights on the biggest of all goals, the FIFA World Cup. How many nations will we have to manage until we work our way to the top? How many dodgy names will we have to pronounce along the way? So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. Okay, hello everyone and welcome to episode 57 of the, or is it 58? To be honest, I can't quite remember, of the International Pentagon Challenge. So we are in the 2029 African Cup of Nations second round. And funnily enough, we have to face a nation I have previously managed in the form of Angola, who, it has to be said, were fortunate to even reach this stage, given that they really got through by finishing third in their group. We kind of took a look at some of their players in the previous episode. It's not, I would say, as much of a decorative, if that's the right term, Angola side as the one we managed, but they do still have some half decent players like Leão up front, who plays for Porto, looks amazing by Angolan standards, of course, and Gelson Dalla, who's a lad we know very, very well. So really it looks like they're going to be looking to play this kind of narrow 4-1-3-2, which, if I remember correctly, no, we played a 4-2-2-2 with them, but we did start off trying to play this kind of narrowish formation, I think, at one point. It may have been off camera when I first took the job. So really, we're probably going to see a lot of space available for us to attack behind the wing backs. We're probably going to struggle to get much breathing space in the central areas, and we're probably going to have to come up with some kind of plan to keep their front two quiet. If we take a look in terms of scouting report and so on, 7 of their 17 assists have come from inside the penalty area, and that's obviously the 2 strikers linking up. Now, in general, because of the quality we possess, I think we'll be okay with our 2 kind of centre-backs and the ball-winning midfielder just in front. Another option could be to opt to change that ball-winning midfielder to be more of an anchor man or a half-back, and then have our full-backs push forward a little bit more and use the width. So that's an option we could maybe switch to as the game progresses. And obviously, we also know that they're not the greatest in the air, and we also know that the 2 up front are very, very pacey, so we are going to have to be careful in terms of how we position our defensive line. Other than that, we're going to look to attack down the wings, which really, as we've seen so far, is our forte. And if you've watched the previous episodes, which you really should have done, if you haven't, go to my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, then go and watch all the other videos and come back to this one, hit the like button again, then hit it again because you probably unliked it, so you have to re-like it. With the way we play as Egypt, we put a lot of emphasis on using width, so that does suit playing against these narrow formations. So here we go then, as expected from Angola, and we are now going to just slightly tweak things around ourselves. So there we go, we switch more to a 4-1-4-1. Hani will go on attack, and I will tone down Abderraouf to be more of a supporting player. As an inverted wing back, he'll hopefully help us make up the numbers centrally, which is really what we're looking to do up against their packed midfield, but also utilise players like Ramsey and Siam out wide, as well as Hani. Now, Ahmed El Sayed, if you remember him, who's probably our best right winger, has finally returned from injury, but because Hani has been so good in the tournament so far, I don't actually want to take him out. I'm not just going to take him out for the sake of it. So as long as he keeps performing well, he'll have his spot. And there's a lot of competition for this spot as well, because let's not forget that Ramadan Subhi is also another option as well. In terms of what we might look to change with our instructions, we're going to go fairly wide just to kind of kick things off. Our defensive line, we don't want to overcomplicate, so we'll leave it on normal for now. If it looks like we can afford to bring it up to constrict play that little bit better to help us retain possession as well in the opposition half, that's something we can look to do as well. Another thing I'm also going to do is look to not necessarily retain possession. I feel like going that little bit extra direct should hopefully help us abuse the wings that little bit better. Another thing we also find works pretty well against the narrow formations is when we kind of get our wide players to start man marking the opposition fullbacks, but that's not something I'm going to do just yet until I feel like it's necessary. Two options could also potentially be to go in hard on Rafael Leão and Gelson Dalla, but again, I'm not going to overcomplicate things this early on. So here we go then, the lads walk out onto the pitch. And really a massive game for us. We can't underestimate Angola by any means whatsoever. We make sure we're on comprehensive first. And yeah, so name of the game, get the ball wide and just do really what we do best. And we should end up being okay. But we are going to have to make sure that we are switched on because as we just saw then, 28 seconds in, having the two up front, Angola are always going to be able to kind of possess that threat on the counter-attack should they require to do so. Pacavira with the goal kick. It is going to be won by Leão, but then Kamal will pick it up. He's just going to try and parry in front of the back two, give them support, make sure we have that kind of extra man, you know, in that central area. We know that's where most of their assists come from, and naturally with two strikers, it becomes suddenly a lot more difficult, obviously, for our defenders to defend and do their job up against two strikers. Most of their assists and goals have come through both strikers, so it just goes to show they've got quite a solid partnership up front, and it's up to us to make sure that it remains quiet. And hopefully our quality will shine through, but it does look like we may have jinxed Mohamed Hani, saying he's had a very good tournament so far, which is why obviously Ahmed El Sayed isn't playing, but it looks like he might have to come off. I'm not sure actually. I'm going to take him off because Football Manager can be a bit funny when things like that happen, but I'm not really too fussed because Ahmed El Sayed on his day is just as good as Ramsey on the other side, who was in some great form, to be honest, prior to his injury. So let's see what he can do now that he's on the pitch. That's not great from Kamal, and somehow that bounced straight back into the path of the Angolian striker, and they've just missed that clear-cut chance. So that's not really pleasing, but it is what it is. Let's see if we can get rid of the ball here. Montero plays it back to Carvalho. It's back out wide to Guimarães. Capocco with it on the edge of the box, and we do unfortunately give away a free kick. So Kamal pushes forward, ball out towards El Sayed. We are being actually forced inside. I've noticed that now. Both of our wingers, even though I think we're on fairly wide, have still looked quite narrow. This is really the kind of level... Oh, unlucky. Oh, see, that is the level of width that I want to see from my wide men. I'm wondering whether or not there's a bit of a collision going on here down the left-hand side because Siam obviously is looking to overlap as well. So I'm actually going to increase our width now and see if that starts getting our wingers as wide as I'd like to see them, because just look at the amount of space that we can then exploit when they are that wide. Ramsey takes on his fullback, whips the ball into the box. Saeed tries to win it in the air but can't. I'm thinking of maybe making a tweak to switch on drilled crosses, because based off of what I've seen so far, it looks like Saeed has really struggled to score headers, and this is something we've discussed before prior to the African Cup of Nations, where on paper Saeed's not that big of a striker. On paper Saeed shouldn't really be that good in the air, but the last time I think I said that live on kind of in one of the episodes, he then went on to score 3 headers and we won 3-0. So it really does depend on the quality of centre-backs you are up against. I think one problem is that a lot of the time when the two wide men do pick the ball up, unlucky, when they do pick the ball up, there is only one person to aim for in the box, and that can be negated by moving both wingers a little bit further forwards, which I think we will do going into the second half. So Pereira. Well, that was a decent delivery, and Montero, fortunately for us, missed the target. So this is what I mean. We've been the better side. We've played well. unfortunately, we've got 6 shots off targets. We've not exactly been taking our chances. We've been pretty wasteful when the chances have come by. And in a knockout kind of situation like this, all it takes is us to be a little bit unlucky and one mistake for us to essentially just get knocked out. It's as simple as that. And we can't really afford those kinds of errors like we perhaps could do in the group stages. Okay, team talk wise, we've told the lads we're not happy with what we've seen so far, and I think it's about time that we try to give ourselves a little bit more oomph. So to do exactly that, I think both wingers will just move forwards a little bit more. Another thing we'll also do now that their front players have probably started to tire a little bit more as well is kind of push our defensive line up a little bit more and turn on the offside trap. So straight out into the second half, let's see what we can do. We've not actually seen their fullbacks bomb forwards too much because, to be fully honest, most of their chances have come on the back of a set piece and whatnot. I think if by the 65th minute or so, if we've still not managed to take the lead, then we will probably have to sacrifice one of our central players for a second striker and go more 4-2-2-2 or 4-4-2. So Siam to Kamal, who's been booked as well, as the ball gets whipped in towards Saeed, but he can't win it. And obviously, it doesn't take a genius to figure out who would probably get subbed on to be that second striker, and yep, you guessed right, it is going to be little Islam, whatever his name is, who's a bit of a super sub for us. That should have really been 1-0, the header at the back post. But that kind of example there, where you see the late run coming in from the winger, is one of the perks you get by moving them forward. So you sacrifice the fact that I find it a bit strange that if you put them a little bit further forward, apparently, you know, they no longer feel like they're playing in a comfortable position because you're only playing a little bit further forward. But yeah, it does get them closer to that final third and increases the chances that they kind of make a run in at the back post, which is really important in a formation like this where you only play with one striker and you kind of want to at least double up in the box, because a lot of the time the reliance is on those kind of central players to bomb forwards and get into the box. So in scenarios where they're a little bit behind play, for example, you want that other winger to provide, you know, something in the box. But here we go. It's looking good, this. I've got a good feeling about this. Siam in towards Saeed. Saeed, oh my god, how's he missed that? Ahmed, how have you missed that? He's hit the post from, like, in front of the goal. And now Matondo comes on. So with Matondo coming on, they've got less pace up front all of a sudden, but they've got big lad Matondo. So expect direct balls forwards like that onto his head. And obviously, we know a lot about Matondo, don't we? Because we brought him into the Angola setup when he first broke onto the scene. I mean, Shoki is on 70%, so I think we are going to look to mix it up a fair bit. We've got Saeed, who's left only footed, so for that reason, we've done this before, really, where he now kind of becomes a complete forward for us, but I am actually going to put him on support, and we're going to bring on, I mean, Islam Sabir plays really well as kind of inside forward, but Ramsey's having a real good game, so this is tough. So what I'm going to do is move these lads backwards now that we're going to go with a second striker, just to kind of balance out our shape that little bit better. And I have to choose now. Do I bring on Islam Sabir as a poacher or Hani Hassan, who is probably the better all-round player? But Islam Sabir, for me, I'm not going to go off attributes for now. I'm going to go off what my gut feeling is telling me to do, and I'm going to go off performances. And I feel like he can give us that extra spark of magic up front that we really, really, really need right now. Our back four, to be honest, looks knackered, but there's not really much we can do about it. And I want to keep a substitution for the later stages of the game, because if we don't find a goal, we could end up going to extra time and penalties. So I don't want to bite off more than I can chew at the moment. One thing I am going to do is change this lad here, Shoki, to be a DLP. He's on 70%. I don't want him venturing forward too much to kind of tire himself out further. And he can also kind of, by sitting a little bit deeper, hopefully help parry in front of the back too. Because now that the target man comes into play, it is going to be difficult for our defenders to deal with Matondo's ability, basically. We've had so many chances, like that's another chance there, guys, and we are just we're not finding that extra bit of quality that we need just to actually get the ball past the goalkeeper. Too many shots off target, and you can see that by the fact that we've had 10 shots off target. It's quite simple. We're going to be outnumbered centrally now. We can see how narrow Angola are playing, and it means they can do things like that. Gelson Dalla missing the 1-versus-1, and while we've probably been the better side, you have to take your hat off for Angola because they have created the odd clear-cut chance or two here and there, and they're not really looking too bad. So Montero to Carvalho. It's Montero again, looking to maybe whip the ball in. They're playing a short, patient passing game here, are Angola. Very different to how kind of my Angola played, quite direct and counter-attacking. But talking about counter-attacking, this will be it. And Islam Sabir, the super sub, does it again. Links up with Hussein Saeed. And bada bing, bada boom. We've not heard that in a while. We are finally 1-0 up. So now we need to manage this game. We need to manage this game. And I know I said I didn't want to make a sub, but now that we're 1-0 up, we need to make changes. So I'm not going to bring on an extra defensive player just yet. What I am going to do is drop down to standard, decrease our width to something more balanced, kind of reduce our tempo a little bit, and just really aim to retain possession a little bit better, and slowly but surely, gradually tone the whole shebang down a little bit. Good stuff. Tell the lads to concentrate after that. That's all it took. Sticking on the second striker, giving Saeed a bit of support up front, and we find ourselves 1-0 up, and Siam gives away a stupid free kick like that straight away. And we know they're good from their set pieces. Pereira's got a decent delivery on him, and Jesus Christ, I thought that went in. And it was actually the goal scorer for us in Sabir who got a deflection for it to go out for a corner. Once again, we see the AI doing the all-powerful corner to the guy on the edge of the box that you as a human cannot do anything about because you can't man mark him, I guess. But yeah, Ramsey finds Saeed prior to going off. That's a lovely ball actually from the Stoke striker. Sabir with the header. Ramsey should shoot. Oh my God, someone shoot. Shoot at the goal. Shoot at the goal. We shoot at the goal. We score a goal. Yes! Adil Ramsey. Another assist by Hussein Saeed. I mentioned this a few episodes ago where he had a bit of a poor rating at half-time. Yes, his form recently for us, in terms of our international level, hasn't been great. In terms of scoring goals, he's been struggling, but he's still, I feel like, contributing a lot towards the build-up play and is acting well as a pivot centrally for getting the wingers, the wide men, the important wide men for us on the ball as much as possible. So that's a really, really good goal, that, because it takes so much, I thought I'd jinx it then, so much pressure off our shoulders. 3 clear-cut chances to their 1. And I think we are going to start seeing quite a few highlights going in favour of Angola simply because of the nature of the game. They're going to start throwing more men forwards. And yeah, deep down I kind of want Matondo to score, but 2-1 at this stage would be too tough to handle. I do think we might have some suspensions going into the next round because we've had quite a few yellow cards, both in the group stages and 3 in this game. So it wouldn't surprise me if they pile up, basically. And the thing is, it says we have 11 shots off target, and a lot of the time that suggests you're taking too many pops at goal from... Oh, why has Ramsey got booked? Too many pops on goal from outside the box, but as we've really seen within these comprehensive highlights, that hasn't always necessarily been the case. A lot of those kind of missed chances are down to our wingers, because neither of our wingers are kind of natural finishers. That's really why. We huffed and puffed, but we got the win in the end. Well done, boys. I'm happy with the result and the way that you played. So, let's take a quick look at this. Reading boss Willian. There we go then. Willian is manager of Reading. Reading are in the Sky Bet Championship and Willian is their manager. Lovely jubbly. So yeah, tactics, as we can see, we do unfortunately have two very important suspensions. Ramsey is such an important player for us. I can maybe take some of the blame for not turning off Get Stuck In after we went 2-0 up, but that's like way too much micromanagement sometimes, you know what I mean? Yeah, okay, so we're going to be missing them two very important players for us. It obviously depends who we're playing against. Oh God, are we playing Cameroon? No, we're not. Oh, we're playing either Tunisia or Benin. That's not too bad, that, actually, because obviously we beat Tunisia in a friendly prior to this competition. And we've also, I think, played against Benin in the past. Well, I've played against Benin in the past with Angola, and they're not exactly fantastic opposition. So either of them two, I think, will be fine. And hopefully that will then mean that both Kamal and Ramsey, should we obviously beat Tunisia or Benin, will be nice and fresh going into the semi-final, should we qualify for it. But I think it's better they get suspended now than end up having them being suspended for the final if we get there. So we are on course. I'm going to do my press conference, and we'll be back to take a look at some of the other scores and find out whether or not we're playing Tunisia or Benin. Okay, we are back, and the interesting news is that Mickey Mellon has taken charge at Boreham Wood. Now, I've got no idea who Mickey Mellon is, but Michael Joseph Mellon, that is a phenomenal name. But okay, so we are going to be playing Tunisia, as we maybe kind of expected. So let's just go back and, oh God, not all the results have been played yet. Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm not going to stop recording and go forwards. Let's just get on with this. So if we take a look at the second round, Ivory Coast got knocked out 2-1 by Algeria. We obviously beat Angola comfortably 2-0. Mali beat Guinea-Bissau 4-2. Ghana beat Cameroon 1-0. That's a great tie for us because it means that one of the big teams gets knocked out early on. Same for Guinea beating South Africa. Now, Guinea are a decent side, but probably not quite as good as South Africa on this game. But remember, they were in that World Cup, weren't they, when we were managing England? So, yeah, decent team. Tunisia, we beat them in a friendly. I'm looking forward to playing them. And we have Senegal versus DR Congo, Morocco versus Nigeria. And that really, Morocco versus Nigeria will be a great one because it means another big team is going to get knocked out. So, hopefully, you know, these big teams getting knocked out nice and early on will make our lives a lot easier going forward. Senegal are defending champions from 2 years ago. And as we know, they're probably the best, or if not one of the best African teams around at the moment. So we are going to be looking to avoid them, and hopefully DR Congo can do us a bit of a favour, and hopefully the lad who will do us that favour will be none other than Luke Bacchio, if he's in. Luke Bacchio. Oh, he's not in the international side. You guys remember Luke Bacchio, right? If you're watching this, you have no idea who Luke Bacchio is. I mean, I don't know why you're watching this. I mean, you should watch from episode 1. But basically, our first job in this International Pentagon Challenge was managing the DR Congo under-23s, and Luke Bacchio was like our standout player. But okay, oh, Kalulu is playing. Yay, Kalulu. Yay. Okay, that's going to be it for this episode. So, yeah, next game, all important. African Cup of Nations quarter-final game against Tunisia. What's going to be really awkward is if we do actually win the African Cup of Nations, I mean, in theory, that's it. We've completed Africa. So do we just no longer carry on with the World Cup qualifiers that we began? You know, could this get a bit awkward? I'm not sure. But what I will say is that we're yet to concede a goal in the African Cup of Nations, so far, so good. I'll see you next time. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.